Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, January the 16th, 2019. This is show number 1201. I am Shawn King, joined as always by my beautiful, lovely wife,
Melissa King.
How you doing?
Good.
Good. Well, I wasn't on the show last week. Oh, we didn't do a show last week because I'm old and fat.
No.
I've started my New Year's resolution has been to lose 30 pounds before we get to Lisbon in the end of March. And it's going well, I'll tell you that right now. But I overdid the exercise on Tuesday, and I threw my old back out, and so that's why I literally couldn't sit up last Wednesday afternoon. The pain was just so bad I had to lie down. So I'm going to try and be more gentle with myself. But I will say this. I noticed this when I was at 271 pounds, I think on January 2nd. It's the second heaviest I've ever been. I was up close to 280 at one point. My family has a history of being very, very large people. My dad was 320 pounds. My mom was 230 pounds. My little brother, Chucky, is close to 300 pounds. So we've got a little brother, David, is close to 300 pounds. So I got to keep an eye on this stuff. I don't want to balloon up. Plus, I have this beautiful, hot, sexy wife that would leave me if I get fat. She has said as much in her sleep. Oh, don't think I don't hear you in your sleep.
What?
Talking about fatty this and fatty that.
I do not.
She does no such thing. So I decided I was going to do this, but then the John Cordyback here in British Columbia on Vancouver Island very kindly sent me an Apple Watch. I would say so. It was 271 on January 2nd. Now today is the 16th, so that's 14 days. I've lost 7 pounds. I'm now down to 263.4 pounds. I'm surprisingly happy with myself. And it's mostly due to both Melissa and I deciding we were just going to keep more of an eye on what we ate and portion sizes and that kind of thing. I don't think I'm eating much differently than before. But I'm no longer having half a pound of M&Ms every night, which certainly helps a lot.
Yes.
And the Apple Watch, the data from the Apple Watch, something we talked about before. Our friend Greg Gare told us this last summer when he was here in Vancouver. Nerds like data, and the Apple Watch gives you data, and the rings are data. And I did not realize how much the rings would encourage me. I haven't 14 days. I probably closed them at least 10 of those days. And the days I don't close them, I don't beat myself. Look, I remember when Jim Dalrymple was, and we'll talk with Jim a little later. I don't beat myself up about missing the days where I don't close the ring, but I do keep, I should work a little harder. And the other major thing is I'm now getting up. Before Melissa and I we wake up at 6:30 in the morning, we have our coffee, we lie in bed, we talk. At 7:30, Melissa gets up to get ready for work. She gets Rory out of bed, and she does her thing. And I stayed in bed because I'm lazy. No, that's not why.
Yes, it is.
Shh, don't tell them. But now what I'm doing is I'm getting up with Melissa, and I'm going out and walking for 15, 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's very cold. It's not rest of Canada cold, but it's pretty cold. It's 32, 33 degrees outside. But I'm going out and walking and getting the heart moving and doing 15, 20 minutes exercise first thing in the morning. I think the combination of all these things, portion control, not having seconds, not having junk food for snacks. Now when I want a snack after supper, it's a couple of oranges. I think that's it for food-wise, because otherwise we're eating the same kinds of food.
Yes, actually, for a big man, you didn't actually eat that much. You would have big second portions for dinner, for sure.
Yes.
And the M&Ms. And big desserts. Like if you made a dessert, or if we were going to have ice cream, you would have a very, very big dessert.
Yes. I'm definitely guilty of that. I will have a giant bowl
like
of ice
I
cream.
say to Shawn, do you want me to get you dessert? No.
You
don't know how to get it properly.
You didn't get enough. And
So-
Dave D says, Shawn, did you cut back on beer? I didn't cut back because we don't drink a lot of beer.
We don't drink very much. No.
a month, we might drink maybe a 6-pack over a month period of time.
Yes,
And
or maybe.
And quite often, we'll just share a beer.
Yeah, we just have a bit of a maybe sometimes before dinner while we're cooking.
Yeah.
Not very much.
Not very much. So, yeah, we're no longer, well, we've never been together big beer drinkers.
Not big beer drinkers. I enjoy.
Yeah, oh yeah, me too.
When we first met, we would have beers on the deck together, and
But
in
now
the summer,
I don't have to woo her anymore.
No, he doesn't have to woo me, so he got fat.
Oh,
It's true. But we won't go any further into that. But Lesh is right, because I had a friend who, not a big woman, but her and her husband lost all this weight. And I said, Moray, you just look fantastic. How did you do it? And she said, all we did was eat less and not have seconds. So portion size was what they changed. And she looked fantastic.
It makes a difference. It's hard to lose a lot of weight. It's hard to get toned. It's hard to get fit, whatever
you want to get fit.
But just to lose the weight, just pay attention to how much you're eating. Get a little more exercise than what you're doing now. Mm-hmm. A 15-minute walk twice a day or a half-hour walk, you'd be surprised at how easy it is. More healthy snacks if you're a snack guy, and I am a snack guy. I love my snacks after dinner. 8 o'clock, I'd have a snack.
In the night, too, just before you're going to go to sleep in a few hours. Not good. And I think the more you move your body, the more as it becomes habitual, the more you want to, and you'll start to feel the need to move your body.
The other aspect about the Apple Watch is that I'm more aware of things, heart rate, for example, and breathing and standing and doing those kinds of things. So now when the watch says stand, I don't just stand up and sit back down again. I'll stand up, I'll walk outside the office, I'll do some stretches, I'll just get some movement in there. It's not enough to get your heart rate going or be exercise, but just doing something and getting in the habit of doing something. The Breathe app is kind of interesting. I really like the Breathe app.
It's so funny, everyone, because I'll be like, blah, 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 and I'll look at Shawn and think, wow, like he really doesn't want to hear what I have to say anymore. Because he's sitting there and he's going, and I have to get used to this watch being this dictator in his life. And I'll think, oh, he's doing his Apple breathing. Like I'll be, yeah. Or he'll come out and he's doing all these weird movements when we're all out there, and I'm going, what are you doing? He's going, the Apple Watch told me to move.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, okay.
It's good for the other things about it too, the messages and the tweets and the text and that kind of stuff. And I've got that turned on just for the fun of it, but it's the exercise part of it that really
and the little woohoo, Shawn, you close your ring today. Yeah, like that. It's kind of wonderful.
That gamification of the Apple Watch, when you do close your ring for the first time, a little award pops up and you little fireworks on the watch.
It's just so cool. Yeah. But Lesh is asking, no, Lesh, not yet. It's not Shawn's fault that I haven't got him to try yoga yet. He's wanted me to, and we just haven't yet.
Monty says, eating healthy when you're unemployed and poor is tough. There aren't a lot of healthy choices that aren't expensive. That is definitely a huge issue in certainly Canada and the U.S.
Oh, I've seen documentaries about it.
Eating poorly is cheaper than eating well. It's hard, especially for those of us in areas where the climate is not conducive to fresh food all the time.
Yeah.
To get good quality fresh food, our prices will go up 25 to 50% here in the wintertime for carrots and potatoes and those kinds of things, those staple foods. Mm-hmm. But then there's the idea of, people don't realize this, it's the time it takes to make a healthy meal. Yes. It's a lot easier when you've had a full day at work and your boss is a jerk and traffic's a pain in the ass, and you come home and it's like, I don't feel
and there's 4 kids.
Yeah, I don't feel like cooking. I will suggest, though, for those people who are in that kind of situation, an Insta cooker, a slow cooker, is amazing.
Yep.
One of the things, I did this today, slow cooker. First thing this morning, got up, threw a bunch of chicken into a pot, threw a bunch of sauce on top of the chicken, bunch of spices in it, and left it. Mm-hmm. And then 6 hours later, Melissa comes home, I pour some pasta in there, boom, dinner's ready. Mm-hmm. A slow cooker that you can put in, the other thing about the slow cooker is that you can use cheaper cuts of meat. You don't have to use expensive, high-quality cuts of meat because you're cooking it low and slow. It breaks it down. And all the stuff, all the meat we've had in the slow cooker has been very tender.
Yes, delicious. Yeah.
We also buy these, the only way to describe them is these giant meat penises. There's these huge, literally these things are 4 feet long, and pork tenderloin. Mm-hmm. And they're $20 at Costco. We cut them up into 4 chunks, and each one of those chunks feeds all 4 of us for 2 nights. So we're getting 8 meals out of this thing.
And it's tender, delicious.
In the slow cooker.
I'm not a big meat eater, but I mean, I do like a good piece of pork.
Yeah, that's right. So,
Very good.
We got distracted. I'm sorry about that. So on tonight's show, we're going to be talking to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. We're going to be talking about Apple flights. Did you hear the story that Apple is contracted with United Airlines to fly? They get 50 seats each day to Shanghai, among other places. But the 50 seats are on every United flight going to Shanghai. That's pretty cool. Talk to Jim about that. We'll also talk about batteries. Apparently, Apple replaced 11 million batteries in iPhones last year. Is this the cause of the slowdown? We'll talk about that. We'll talk to Jim about exercise. And and then we have sad news. We're going to be talking about Dexter the DJI drone is dunked in the drink. Dexter's gone. And so we'll talk about drone photography.
And the silly thing on Facebook.
And Melissa wants to talk about...
Oh, well, you had asked me anything we should talk about, and I happened to be just checking my Facebook, and I keep seeing all these people that are doing this before and after.
10-year challenge.
Sorry, 10-year challenge. I don't know what it is.
We're going to talk about that and why that 10-year challenge may not be as innocuous and seemingly innocent as you might think it is. All that and more coming up later on the show. This is Your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining me here on this Wednesday evening. As always, we've got a good friend, Jim Dalrymple, The Loop at loopinsight.com, joining us. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, we were just talking about, you called just as a song that reminds me of you came up.
And what song is that?
Kodachrome
Cool.
by Paul Simon. Really great song, but it talks about taking pictures with a Kodachrome camera.
That's right.
And I was thinking I should add that song to your contacts so when you call, that song starts playing. But then I realized I'm like 50-50 between actually even answering the call when you call, so it seems like a waste of a song.
Fair point. Yeah.
You know?
Or you could just put it on and then just listen to the song. Don't answer the call. Just listen to the song.
Well, and then there's always the fact that I want decline, accept, and block.
Decline, accept, piss off.
And I want that message to go to the person.
Yes.
too.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be great? If you could
It would
actually
be great.
have that message where you could decline because you're just a little busy, you can't. But then you want the other ones where you say, "Look, I'm never going to answer your call. Stop calling me."
Yeah.
I would pay for that feature. I would pay extra to tell us for that feature. Just you stop calling me.
Yeah.
Um,
It's absolutely pissing down rain here.
and that's very unusual for that. That's not that unusual though for San Jose, is it?
Well, it is so bad rain here
Really?
right now. Yeah. Oh, it's terrible.
We've
Terrible rain.
We've had 2 or 3 beautiful days of bright, sunny sunshine, but the rain's going to come for us for the next week. So we'll get used to that.
Oh, it's when it rains in California, people just drive their cars into trees. It's just terrible. They don't know how to drive for shit. It's
that's
crazy.
True. That's true.
I'm on the highway, just like, get out of my way.
That's right.
You're doing 20 miles an hour with your 4-ways on because it's showering. Get out of my way.
Well, just be glad we're not where Dave D is. He says it could get to minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit tonight.
Oh, is he in Nova Scotia?
No. It's not that bad back home. Now, come on.
Oh, get out of here. It is so.
It's not quite that bad.
Dave, where are you?
I think Dave's in Dave's in Minnesota.
Oh, well, that's basically Nova Scotia.
Oh, I take it back. You're right. Holy crap! It's going to be 9 degrees Fahrenheit in Nova Scotia tomorrow. Okay, yeah, that's cold.
Yeah,
that's a little bit chilly. No fun.
I've been in Nova Scotia when it's been in the minus 20, minus 30,
No.
And don't forget Fahrenheit and Celsius meet up at minus 32.
That's right.
So
exactly.
At that point we're all talking the same thing. We're freezing our butts off.
Asses off, and it's no fun.
Well, Dave, I'm sorry to talk about the rain while you're in minus 20. I won't talk about it anymore.
I've always said I will accept the rain because we don't got to shovel it. Rain goes away by itself, unlike snow.
So I just before the show, like an hour ago, I realized that I was down to my last case of Heineken.
Last case.
And my last case, and I threw it in the fridge real quick, but it's warm.
Ooh.
So I did what any Heineken lover would do. I'd drink it.
Well, because Heineken doesn't taste any different, warm or cold.
Mm.
I mean, urine tastes the same no matter whether it's cold or warm urine.
I wouldn't know.
Yes,
but thank
you would.
for that.
You drink Heineken. Yes, you would. United is telling staff to be nice to Apple employees, and people wonder why. Well, United's largest global account is Apple at $150 million a year, with over 50 seats daily from San Francisco Airport to Shanghai. Was this little tidbit of leaked information a surprise to you, or was it interesting, or what?
Well, what I want to know through all of this is how many people at United got fired for putting that up.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Because there were some.
Yep, there has to be.
Absolutely, because there's no way that Apple authorized that. And they even had on the sign that it was confidential information and don't share it.
That's
right.
like
telling a kid you can't do something and then they're going to go do it. I mean, it was the stupidest thing that United has ever done. And as soon as that came out, the phone calls from Apple to United were just burning the lines.
Yep. And that is one of those things that every other airline would love to have. Would love to be able to say, hey, we're going to add $150 million to our bottom line, guaranteed every single year.
Yeah, just from one company.
From one company, that's right.
But I don't know that anybody else does that trip.
Oh no, so there are several other airlines that make that trip from San Francisco to Shanghai. Cathay Pacific, the Hong Kong airline. I've flown them a couple times. Great airline. They make that trip on a regular basis too. So the folks at Cathay Pacific have got someone trying to climb up Apple's butt, going, "Hey, we can save you $5 million on this account, and put you on nicer planes, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera."
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. I mean, but yeah, that was very stupid for United. Yeah. Apple would never authorize the release of that information. Did it surprise me that they have so many seats? No, because they have so many different products in the line that, they have people over there, obviously, every single day.
What made me think about this was that seems like a lot of money to give to somebody else. You'd think that Apple maybe could charter their own plane as opposed to flying business class. They're not flying coach, obviously. As opposed to flying business class, these 50 seats every single day. Wouldn't it make more sense economically for Apple to buy 2 planes and have them going back and forth to shuttle their own employees?
I dare say that would probably cost them more.
You think?
I think so.
I don't know. Remember Steve Jobs had his own plane for every
but that didn't seat 50 people.
No, it didn't. But that plane, and Tim Cook now uses that plane, by the way. But you'd think that they could afford...
That plane seated one person, Steve.
Just had one seat in it.
The rest of you can sit in the floor.
You know what? I wouldn't doubt that at all. There's room for one person on that plane.
Yeah, so I don't have a problem with it. I mean, this is what Apple does. They go to China, they do their R&D, they have products, they're flying people all over the place. Yep. So fine.
The thing
that's a cost of doing business.
The thing I found was interesting was that the letter on the story was from the chief pilot, and one of the things he said that you are making a difference in our operation that will improve the traveling experience for our passengers. Your performance is helping other departments at United. These corporate customers are highly coveted by airlines. Basically, what he's saying is, thank you, pilots, for not crashing the plane, because the pilots don't actually have anything to do with who's in the back seat.
Yeah.
It was just a kind of a weird thing for the chief pilot to send out to the other pilots. Sending it out to the flight attendants makes sense. Sending it out to the ground crew makes sense, but the pilots don't care who's flying behind them, do they?
Well, probably not, except that their bills get paid.
It's true. The chief of Apple Global Services customers says, as we enter into another 3-year contract renewal negotiations this coming January with Apple. So what that means is they are in present negotiating with Apple to get this contract going for 3 more years. There are other airlines, American, Cathay, all the other ones are also trying to get a hold of someone at Apple to renegotiate this contract with them.
Well, and Apple's negotiating position just got a whole lot better with United.
Much better.
So Apple will send a thank you letter to whoever made that post.
The other thing that surprised me was they were talking about enhancing the customer service experience for Apple Global Services customers by hand delivering personalized thank you cards. Come on. Seriously? That's a bit much, don't you think?
Well,
I mean, there's crawling up Apple's butt, and then there's crawling up Apple's butt, and that's just a little. I guess goes a little overboard to me. Don't you think so?
I if they were doing it to like all their regular customers, I would say yes. But how many global services members are there in Apple? Not a lot. Not a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a very specific group of people, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're not talking, you have a platinum plan or something like that. I mean, these are global services, and there's not a lot of those people in the world, let alone, just at Apple. So to deliver one of those, that's not as big as what it would seem.
It's definitely an interesting story. It's certainly, as you said, not something that Apple wanted to have out there. But now that it's out there, I think it does help the company more than it hurts them.
Well, it certainly gives other companies some insight into what they're doing. But if those companies didn't know that Apple was sending multiple people a day to China, then they're stupid anyway.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think it's a fair assumption that if you have half a brain, if you're in this market, you know that Apple's sending a certain number of people. I think the 50 number was what surprised so many of us. That was every single day, 50 people are going to Shanghai from Apple.
Well, but they have people from different. I mean, it's not just, hey, we've got 2 iPhone people that we want to send to China today. No, it's people from all over the company that are going to China. So they could be flying from Austin and coming to San Francisco and then hopping on that flight.
True.
I mean, when you look at the thousands of people that work for Apple and the amount of products that are made at their factories in China, 50 may actually be low.
Yeah.
You know.
Point.
So if you think that they're all in Cupertino and 50 people hop on a bus and go to, that might seem a lot, but not when you factor in the entire company.
Let's move on to the CNET story. Apple's $29 battery replacement program may have seriously dinged sales of its 2018 iPhone models. The company replaced 11 million iPhone batteries under the program, citing CEO Tim Cook at an all-hands meeting. Typically, the company replaces only 1 to 2 million batteries per year. Do you agree with this characterization of that this may have been the reason why Apple's, at least certainly to a certain degree, Apple's sales weren't as good as they should have been?
I thought a lot about what I wrote, I think it was last Friday, about this being a China problem and not an iPhone problem. Yeah. And I agree with myself. So here's the thing. I meant to write, and I didn't write in that article, but I have said since, I'm surprised that Apple was surprised with how many battery upgrades there were. I'm surprised that it took them that off guard, so much that they put it in there. But yes, to answer the question bluntly, yes, I do think that had some effect on iPhone sales. Now, did it have a large effect on the number of iPhones that were sold, and would they have to adjust guidance based on the upgrades alone? No, I don't know. The reason that they had to adjust guidance was purely China. That's it.
Yeah.
So is there, and I said in the article, there are things that Apple can and should do in the coming months and quarters to get people to upgrade their phones more. Sure. Yes. There's something that every company can do, and every company is trying to do that. But beyond my surprise at their surprise, I don't think it had any material effect on the actual financial outlook of the company. They could have been, maybe it was 1 million of those people that would have upgraded. And now they didn't. But a good quarter in China would have blown that away anyway.
Sure. Would have wiped that out, yeah.
Yeah, and we wouldn't have even known. So Here's the big question though. What is a regular battery upgrade? Like $129 or something?
$79, depending on the phone,
Okay.
just on average about that.
Right. So, okay. So let's just, for numbers, say $100. Could be more, could be less, probably less. Now I sound like Trump. But I think that there could be more people now that will look at upgrading. So maybe that 1 to 2 million number will go up to 2 to 2.5 million now.
Yeah.
Maybe that will be the norm. But yeah, I think more people will upgrade, seeing that the upgrade to battery actually keeps their phone. And, you know, there's other things to consider when you're upgrading a phone. Some people don't trust Face ID, or they don't want a phone without a button. You know, they like the button. They like where they are with their phone and how they're using their phone and the apps that are on their phone. And, you know, they're perfectly fine with that. So they're going to continue to use that.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't really see an issue with people upgrading. But like I said, I was surprised at how much they were surprised with.
Yes, that's a good point.
Because I think that a lot of us saw, you know, the potential that this was going to be a big thing, because a lot of people were upgrading. You know, anecdotally, we can say that a lot of people were upgrading their phones. So that's the only thing that got me, that they actually called it out. Now, we know why they called it out, because they added that to, you know, the variety of things that were affecting the numbers. Yep. But again, if you look at the numbers, everybody everywhere was up except China. So that's why I don't think, no matter what they did, that it would have affected, you know, $7 billion worth of guidance to the point where they had to adjust that number.
Do you think Apple made a mistake in offering the battery replacement program to everybody who wanted it for $29, as opposed to before it was you had to give them your serial number and they would do a test on it, and if the test showed the battery was fine, they wouldn't let you get involved in this battery replacement program? But when they opened it up for $30 to anybody who wanted one, this is exactly what happened with Melissa. She has the old iPhone 6 Plus, and it's acting a little wonky on her, and we thought, well, maybe you want to get a 7 or an 8 or even an iPhone X or an iPhone 10. And she thought about it for the longest time. We talked about the battery warranty issue, that she could get a new battery, and she thought, well, if I get a new battery, I won't need a new phone. I wonder how many other folks thought the exact same thing.
I'm reporting you.
Yeah, I know. I've already gotten a phone call from someone at Apple going, you know, you're a dick. So, you know, I'm used to that stuff.
I'm pinging Tim. Actually, I'm going to call him. I'm going to put you on hold and call him right now.
Tim right now. That's right.
Yeah. I know. I honestly, I believe that happened to a lot of people, but I don't know that a lot of those people were going to upgrade or buy. I mean, there's no real way to tell.
Sure.
Out of all of those people, how many were going to upgrade and buy? I mean, my parents wouldn't have. They didn't get a battery replacement either. You know, they didn't need one, but they have older iPhones. They wouldn't have upgraded. So, you know, that's only 2 people out of 11 million, I know, but not everybody was going to pull a dick move like you did. You know.
Is the issue that Apple's phones have gotten to the point where even the older models, the iPhone 6 Plus, for the vast majority of people, those older phones, the 6 and the 7 or even the 8, are good enough, and they'll last them for 3, 4, maybe even 5 years. That people know, the average person, us nerds want to upgrade every single year, but the average person, the vast majority of people out there, don't do enough on their phones in order to justify an increase every 2 years, and they're holding on to those phones for 4 and 5 years.
I think almost, and I know what you're saying, but I think the iPhone is probably the most used device that we have.
Agreed.
You know, so it's not that we're using our phones for limited things that we can get away with not having them.
Yeah.
We can't. I mean, we use our phones for everything. I had to get another beer.
I heard you. Yeah, I agree when you say that my iPhone is never more than arm's reach away from me. I have, as we talked about this last week, I have nomophobia. When my phone isn't near me, I get kind of weirded out. It just kind of freaks me out that, God, where's my phone? Where's my phone?
Yep. Because our whole life is on our phone.
Yep.
So I think people are getting the battery upgrades because, yes, they are satisfied with the phones, and that's a testament to how good Apple makes the products.
Yep.
But, I mean, people are willing to replace the parts, I mean, especially for $29, that are failing because of so much use.
Yeah.
I mean, the battery isn't being replaced because they're not using the battery. No, it's exactly the opposite. For years they have been, and for years more they can if they want.
Yeah, agreed.
Now it's going to come to a point where apps won't work on it, or the OS won't work on it. It'll still be a good phone because it has a brand new battery, or a year-old or 2-year-old battery. But yeah, it's going to come to a point where those people are going to want to upgrade as well.
One of the things I found interesting just recently, as I've told the audience, one of our listeners has been very kind, and he sent me an Apple Watch Series 3. John Cordy.
Wow.
Thank you very much to you for that. And it's been fascinating to me watching how I'm reacting to the Apple Watch. You posted a story up on The Loop today. Apple in talks with private Medicare plans about the Apple Watch. I think before I ever got my Apple Watch, I thought this was a good idea. Now I think it's an even better idea. Explain to the audience what this is.
So basically what Apple wants to do, that's talking to private Medicare companies, to subsidize the cost of getting seniors an Apple Watch to monitor their health. And especially the 4, where it has the EKG and different things like that. I mean, the Apple Watch has been proven to save lives.
Yeah.
And there was somewhere in the article, if I remember it correctly, where they said just one visit to the emergency room could pay for the program.
In the U.S., exactly.
Yeah. So I think that it's a brilliant idea. Obviously, Apple gets a lot more watches sold, but, the insurance companies get some peace of mind because their users have this watch that will automatically alert them if there's a problem. And the people get to know if there's something wrong. Are you just not feeling well because you're old and this is what happens? Or is there a medical issue that, you can be helped with right now? So it's a good deal for everybody all around.
I think the other good deal for this is the ancillary benefit to Apple. They do a good thing. It's perceived as a good thing. Apple's helping seniors, but obviously Apple's making money. The insurance companies are saving money, which makes them money. But the other thing is seniors are now going to be Apple customers. Very much like the iPod, the halo effect, very much like the iPhone, where people are going to start using these Apple devices that may not be using them otherwise, because it's not just the Apple Watch. They're going to have an iPhone too. So is Apple going to make a customized Apple Watch for these folks these seniors who get this deal, if the deal comes to fruition, who are using Android phones? It'll be a package deal where you'll get an iPhone and an Apple Watch. I don't think people are talking about that or realizing that. Or will Apple do a separate Apple Watch that will work with Android devices, which I don't think Apple's going to do. How do you think they're going to solve that problem?
Apple could just authorize the watches that are sent out to those people, so that they're active and, ready to put on, leave that to the company.
But how is this senior going to use an Apple Watch if they have an Android device?
Well, then they just have bad family management.
Oh, I don't know if that's true, but I mean, it's got to be a concern for Apple. I mean, how's this deal going to work? And it's a good deal for Apple. I mean, if Apple does in fact package this up, which I think that's what they're going to do, is these seniors, the companies, the healthcare companies, will subsidize the price to seniors, but the seniors got to buy an iPhone too. So the company's is going to have to subsidize the cost of an iPhone as well. So it's a double hit for Apple.
I don't know if they could do that.
I think they have to. How else are you going to get seniors to use the Apple Watch? If the Apple Watch requires an iPhone to manage and use, which it does right now, unless there's some future version that won't, then
to manage what?
To manage the Apple Watch.
Well, yeah, but once activated, I can go out and you know, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to.
You see the problem I'm talking about, the fact that you still need the iPhone to make settings and changes and that kind of stuff with the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch is not yet a standalone device that can work all on its own. It can do a lot of things on its own, but it can't do everything on its own. You still need an iPhone. Maybe
the Apple will give them like a 3G or something.
But I don't know. It's part of this issue that I don't think many people are talking about. I'm sure Apple's trying to figure that out too. But overall, I think it's a great idea. It helps Apple. Yeah. It helps the companies. It helps seniors. And the halo effect will get more people using Apple Watches, which then means maybe the next computer the senior buys before they die will be a Macintosh.
Wow.
I know.
Wow, was that necessary?
I know. That was so dark, wasn't it?
Wow.
Jesus, what the hell's wrong with me?
I'm going to go sit and listen to Pink Floyd for an hour after we're done.
Dave D says, hey, I just bid for Celebration Day Led Zeppelin Blu-ray on eBay. I hate eBay. Asked Jim if I wasted my money. Did he?
No. Celebration Day is absolutely stunning. Oh, my God. I have it. I bought it off of iTunes, but it is just amazing. The beginning of the concert sets it all up. Amazing.
Yeah, but it's Led Zeppelin, though.
Oh, my God. The beginning of that concert is just unreal. Now I'm going to go watch that tonight. Yep.
Along with, hopefully that answers Dave's question. Along with the comments about Medicare and seniors, Tim Cook said that Apple's greatest contribution to mankind will be health. He said, "Do you believe or agree with that?"
Yes.
Really? See, I don't. I can't see that being true.
Look at what they've done already with these studies.
Yep.
Hey! Don't interrupt. Don't interrupt. I'm the guest. I'm allowed to interrupt.
True,
Dave D is allowed to interrupt because he's in -20 weather. So, but look at what Apple has done with these, all of the, what do you call them? The programs or the medical, sign up for this medical thing. Every company or university that they've done this with have said, we've never seen this before.
Yeah.
People are signing up and giving their information, their medical information from their watch to be able to participate in these programs where doctors and researchers are trying to find cures for diseases and problems with the human body. This is incredible stuff. And they're going to keep going. I mean, that Apple has more plans for this beyond close your rings.
Yep.
These studies are absolutely incredible. So, yeah, I think one of the greatest things that Apple's doing right now is in health. And we may not see it from a consumer standpoint. We see close your rings, but these hospitals and universities that are researching this stuff, they see it from a totally different level than what we do.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that they are going to make a huge dent in the universe when it comes to this kind of stuff. I don't think it's going to be the single greatest contribution that Apple has made or will make to mankind, if only because there are so many restrictions on this kind of stuff. So many different companies Apple has to deal with. There's all these healthcare companies. There's governments, both states, local, federal, in countries around the world. I don't think it's a laudable goal, and I admire them for shooting for the stars in this one. But I think they're going to only reach the moon.
Well, the greatest thing that Apple does for mankind cannot be the iPod. I mean,
that's true.
Come on.
It's the iPhone right now.
The greatest thing that Apple is going to do, and he said that is going to be health. And I have to agree with that, because there's a lot going on that we don't know about. So there are many diseases that are going to be not cured, but helped along with the assistance of what Apple is doing.
Yep.
So I have to think you're wrong.
And I have no problem being wrong on this one. This is a, like I said, a laudable goal for Apple, and it's, other companies are kicking themselves that they can't get their foot in this market, if only because of security reasons. I think a lot of companies out there, one of the reasons why I think Apple bangs on security and privacy and data protection so much is that this signals to these other organizations, we're the guys you can trust with this very sensitive health data.
Right, and what's going to happen next month if Facebook comes out with a watch that will do your health? Forget that.
I wouldn't buy it.
I'm not going anywhere near. I don't even want it near me. Because it'll probably hack into my phone and take everything.
That's right. None of these other companies can, in any way, shape, or form, be trusted with my data in general, and certainly I wouldn't trust any of them with my health data.
No. Now, I'm the healthiest person around, but, still.
Well, and that brings me into my next segment I want to talk to you about. Are you still, you've had every single Apple Watch, and at some point had lost a lot of weight. I got to assume you've kept that weight off, correct, for the most part?
Most of it, yeah.
Most of it, yeah. Are you still focused on closing your rings? Is that still something you do on a daily or weekly basis?
No, I got away from closing my rings to using it more as information. I usually close my Move and my stand, and more exercise.
Interesting.
Because, honestly, life gets in the way.
Yeah.
You've got things to do, and some days I'll get this thing where all three rings go around and you've closed all three, and I'll think, great. And other days I'll get, you closed 2 rings yesterday. Okay, great. I don't set out every day to close my rings, but I do know that closing them is better than not closing them, So it's information for me.
Yes.
And I take that information and I understand, okay, tomorrow when I jump on the scale, it's not going to be as good as the day before.
Yep.
Because I didn't close all my rings and, I didn't do exercise like I should have. But, that information is still important to have. You can't just jump on a scale and say, well, I gained 5 pounds. I don't know why. Well, maybe it's the 6 Big Macs you ate the day before.
That's right.
And by the way, your watch was beeping at you all day. Hey, are you alive?
Yeah.
Because you haven't moved off the couch.
That's right.
When your Apple Watch beeps at you and says, time to stand up, you think, wow, I've been sitting for an hour.
Yeah.
I haven't moved.
That's right.
So, I do try and make things better with the information that the Apple Watch gives to me. And, sometimes when our lives are busy, that's all you can do. But there's nothing wrong with that. When life calms down some and you can exercise some more, or you can, do different things, then, the rings are going to take care of themselves. And that's the way that I think of it.
I'm really surprised that after all this time, we're up to Apple Watch iOS 5, I think it is, that there's still not more granularity with the rings in particular. We're talking about it in the IRC chat room. MacMan says you need to be able to change the ring goals. You can change your calories in a ring goals, but you can't change the stand or the move goals, which I find a little odd that after all this time you still can't. The other thing I'd like to see is more customization for days of the week. Wednesdays is my probably most sedentary day now with my Apple Watch because this is show days. I ain't going nowhere. But I would like to be able to tell the Apple Watch, hey, today's Saturday and Sunday, I want to exercise more, so let me increase my calorie goal, increase my exercise goal on those 2 days of the week to encourage me to go and do more. Right now, it's the exact same every single day.
Well, and that would be good. Okay, instead of how many your move goal for the day of 500 or whatever it is, for the week, I want a move goal of 3,000. But Wednesdays I'm only going to do 200.
Yeah, that's right.
So split the rest up throughout the week, and I'll do my best to meet those. Yeah. I agree, and exercise the same way. To be able to move those. Now, I don't know if I could stand for more than 12 hours.
Yeah, that's the other thing that kind of annoys me, too. 12 hours? I mean, come on, dude. I'm not getting on my feet once an hour for 12 hours. I'm sleeping for at least half of that.
I don't know. I don't know if I could. 12 seems good to me. I'm fine with that. But, yeah, the move goal, if you could average that out and adjust it per day, like, I know that I'm in a basketball club and I go out on Tuesday nights. So, that day I do 700, but on Wednesdays, because the show is on, I only do 200. Yeah. So let's adjust all that up and try and meet those goals. Yeah. Because one day you kick ass and then the next day you look like you're dead.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
And your Apple Watch is calling 911,
Dave D in the IC chat room says, rings are useful, but don't let them rule your life. Do I feel guilty?
Exactly.
Do I feel guilty if I don't close them? No, I don't. And neither do I. I've only been using it for 2 weeks, and I'll notice, I'm not going to close the rings. I'm not going to beat myself. You said this from the very beginning when we first talked about this 4 or 5 years ago, that you didn't feel guilty over not closing the rings. You just went, oh, okay, I'll try a little harder next time. And I think that's part of the key.
It's the same thing with, and Dave D can chime in here too. It's the same thing with the things that you eat. I mean, I understand that if I go out, like tomorrow night, I found out just an hour ago that tomorrow night I'm going out to my local pub where I normally do the podcast, and I'm going to hang out with the fellows for a couple hours.
Cool.
So very cool. I like it. So I know when I get there, I have a few beer. I'll probably have a BLT with an egg on top and some sourdough bread and some fries.
Oh, now I'm hungry.
Yeah, right? And they make incredible BLTs with an egg on top. So I know that Friday morning when I wake up, my belly's going to be saying, oof, you shouldn't have done that. Yeah, but on Wednesday night, I already know I'm going to do that tomorrow night. And that's okay. I'm not going to change everything that I do. Like, I'm not going to go have a kale salad tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Although I could, I'm not going to because I don't like kale salads. But I do love BLTs with an egg on top. So,
Macman says, "Thanks, asshole. Now I want one of old Chicago's hangover burgers." We're all salivating now.
Yeah, that's worse than saying, and I won't say it, but hey, Siri, and everybody's phone goes off.
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
That I will tell you that sandwich at the Dutch Goose is the best thing ever. And everybody loves it, and everybody comes up and tries to have a bite. So one night, like 2 weeks ago, I ordered one, and picked it up from the kitchen on my way out the door.
On my way by, I'm grabbing this.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Is that the name of the pub, the Dutch Goose?
Mm-hmm.
What an odd name for a pub. Where is in San Jose?
No, it's in Menlo Park.
Okay, I'd love to know where the name of that came from. That's kind of a funky name for a pub.
I don't know. It's a great place. It's a great place.
So yeah, like I said, I'm loving my Apple Watch. I'm loving the data as we talked about. I love. I don't get caught up over feeling guilty about not closing the rings on any particular day, and not closing all 3 rings, and I don't care about the awards, that kind of stuff. I like the idea of I can look and go, oh, okay, I have moved a lot or not at all today, and I like the idea of the other thing I didn't realize I would enjoy so much was I go for my walk now every morning at 7:30 a.m. I just go for a walk around the neighborhood, and open the workout of walking. It tracks my distance, but it also beeps every kilometer that I've gone and tells me my time for the kilometer. Mm-hmm. And for me, that was interesting because I'm not a fast walker even at the best of times. As a photographer, I tend to meander a lot. Melissa, with her little 5'2" legs, walks twice as fast as I do. I can't even keep up with her when she's walking at her normal pace. So when I did it the first time, it said I was doing a kilometer in about 12 minutes and 30 seconds, which is very, very slow. But each time I've gone out, I've gotten faster and faster and faster. Now I'm down to a little under 11 minutes for a kilometer. That's the kind of data that I think is kind of interesting. I'm walking, without even thinking about it, I'm naturally walking faster.
You know what's even more interesting? If you look on your Apple Watch, after that data is all synced, after your Apple Watch will show you on a map at the bottom of that page where you walked the fastest, or where you were on average is green, where you were below average is in red.
I didn't know that.
So look on your iPhone after that stuff is synced, and you can actually see, okay, why is it I'm going so slow here?
Yeah.
You know, it could be that's where there's a traffic sign and you went way down below average of your walking pace. Yeah. But it's not. It's your pace, so it's judging you on yourself, not on anybody else, which I think is very important. So I always look, and at one point I changed my route because I kept coming up to this point where I couldn't. It was a very busy street, and it was affecting my overall time. But there was a reason for it, but it just pissed me off. You know, so I actually changed my route so that I wouldn't have to cross that street at that intersection that was very busy. And yeah, I felt better about it. The time was basically the same, but you can start to see, okay, after a mile, I'm when I'm coming up to that first mile, I'm starting to slow down every single day. Yeah. And then as soon as it beeps on my arm and says, you just hit a mile and you're at, 12 minutes or whatever, then I would say, damn, and I would speed up.
Yeah.
And then that would be the because I wanted to beat that 12 minutes, and that would be the time where I would be going the fastest. And it just didn't make any sense, but mentally you want to be able to do that. Yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah.
It's definitely a much more interesting device than I thought it was going to be for me personally. The next thing is, now you don't share your exercise data with anyone. You don't compete with anybody. You don't compete with the other bums under the bridge, right?
No. Well, Bob tried to steal my Apple Watch.
Bob's a dick.
But he is a dick, but he also stole my whole shopping cart. So
well, those are easy to get, though, aren't they? Or do they have
but it was full. It was full.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, all right, that's a whole different thing.
I had blankets in there. I had all kinds of stuff in there, and it's raining tonight.
the next thing I want to do is I'm trying to find out how to share and compete with somebody else. Monty in our IRC chat room was also just gotten a new Apple Watch, and who's also fairly sedentary. I think if we can do it, him and I are going to use our Apple Watches to compete with each other and to see if we can do more exercise. And that would be kind of a interesting, fun thing to do. I think that can spur you on, too, is that, hey, you look at your watch and you realize, oh, Monty's got, 10 more minutes of exercise than I do tonight. I'm going to go out and walk around the neighborhood for 15, 20 minutes just to beat Monty.
Right. And that could be a very helpful thing. Me, I would just block you at that point.
Yeah, it works for some, it doesn't work for everybody. I completely understand that. The best part, though, is, and I don't think Monty's really thought this through, he just said it in the IRC chat room, the time zone difference may be interesting. See, I'm 3-4 hours behind Monty, so what's going to happen is I'll see him get to his exercise goal at 9 o'clock his time, but it'll still be 6 o'clock my time, so I'll be able to beat him every single night.
Well, that all depends on if at 6 o'clock you say, just had a big meal, had a BLT with extra bacon and an egg on top, and I'm not going anywhere.
I'm not going anywhere, exactly. That's a possibility, too.
So tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, if you say, hey, are you walking? No, I'm not.
I'm not, that's right.
I'm 5 beers in, and I'm BLT in. So, and by the way, it's crunchy bacon too. The best. It's crunchy bacon. And when the order comes from me, they know it's from me, and they throw on extra crunchy bacon. Yeah.
Monty says, puts my Apple Watch on the neighbor's dog for an hour. What a dick.
Yeah, and then throw shit over the fence so that the dog is running around.
Now I got to go buy a dog. Son of a bitch. Jesus. Folks, to talk to Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com. He's here each and every week. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Shawn.
Talk to you next week. See you, buddy.
Bye.
Fine. Monty's going to be that way? That's just cruel, man. That is just utterly, utterly cruel of you to even think that. I can't believe you'd think that, Monty. Folks, when we come back, we're going to be talking about Facebook and the 10-year challenge, among other things. All that and much more coming up. This is Your Mac Life.
Hello, my name is Melissa King. I'm Your Mac Life's official spokes Australian. As Shawn begins his 25th year of broadcasting on the internet, he has asked me to say a few words to you all. Send money. What? Why not? More? Okay. When you listen to Your Mac Life, you'll notice there are no ads, no commercial breaks, no 5-minute ad reads for products you've already bought or have no interest in buying. That's because Your Mac Life is entirely listener-supported, and not even listener-supported via a paywall or a subscription service. It's simple. If you like Your Mac Life, you can pay for it. If you don't want to pay for it, you don't have to. You can still listen. But we'd really like it if you did. On the Your Mac Life homepage at yourmaclifeshow.com, on the top left, there is a subscribe to YML box. You can send any amount you'd like each month automatically from your credit card or PayPal account. It's set for $2, $5, $10 or $15, but you can set it for any amount by clicking the donate button. The best part is you'll barely notice it. It's $2, but it makes a huge difference to us here at Your Mac Life. It means we can pay for website hosting, internet access, new computers and software to run the show on, and so much more. So, if you like Your Mac Life, please subscribe. $2 will make a tiny dent in your wallet, but when enough people subscribe, it makes a huge difference to Your Mac Life. I'm Melissa King. Thank you.
Welcome back, folks. Thank you guys very much for joining us here this Wednesday evening, whether you're tuned in live or you're listening in via the archive. Always appreciate you guys listening in, however you manage to do it. I wanted to the very handsome Monty reminded me. I keep forgetting to tell people about this. The IRC chat room. I didn't mention off the top of the show as we promised Monty. The chat room, as we always say, this is where half the fun of the show comes in. You can see me answering questions from folks in the chat room live during the show. So you go to our website, yourmaclifeshow.com, and during the live version of the show, you'll see the video on the main page. Right below that, Monty has set it up so it's really easy to get in the chat room. All you do is put your name in there, and you'll be dropped into our IRC chat room. So please, if you would like to join us in the chat room, it's easy. It's just text-based. There's no fancy software or anything else to use. It'll happen right there in your browser. Open up the browser window in two separate windows and have the video on one side and the IRC in the other. So you mentioned something about this 10-year challenge on Facebook. What do you think it is?
Oh, well, I don't know. I haven't done it, and I have gone in and seen a few of my friends doing this, what seems like a look at what you were like when you first subscribed to Facebook, and now let's have a look at your profile picture now, and just a then and now kind of thing.
It seems like a little harmless meme that Facebook is asking you to do, doesn't it? Just seems fairly innocuous, no big deal. It should be just okay, right?
Right. I mean, I'm not doing it.
No, neither am I.
I don't care.
I don't care about this stuff anyway. But the reason I wanted to talk about it, and the reason why I'm glad you brought it up, was that this is one of those things, and I said on the Loop story, I posted this to the Loop, and I said that we give away so much information about ourselves voluntarily, willingly. Our email addresses, our phone numbers, our dates of birth, all that kind of stuff. We give up far too willingly, far too often. Some of us are getting smart enough to stop doing that. Companies like Facebook and Google and others are now finding different ways to get this data out of you. One of the ways is various challenges on Facebook. You'll see this quite often, Facebook and BuzzFeed and these kinds of listicles. Give us this information and we'll tell you what kind of cat you are. And it asks you these questions. What's your favorite color? Where did you grow up in school? What was the street you lived on as a child? Seemingly innocuous questions. And at the end of it, it says, you're a Cheshire cat. Oh, I'm a Cheshire cat. All the quiz is to get that information out of you. Because that information can then be used in various ways. It can also be sold to various other entities. And there was a Wired article about this story posted today that while this seems innocuous, what it is possibly, there's no proof of this, but it's Facebook, so I'm going to assume it's true. This is a way for Facebook to do AI facial recognition. That it takes a picture of you from 10 years ago and a picture of you today, and it can extrapolate your image along that timeline. Now, people are saying, well, they could do this anyway. Yeah, but you haven't told all those pictures you posted on Facebook, that Facebook, by the way, has access to. You haven't told Facebook, this is from 2009 and this is from 2019. Mm. Because Facebook's AI would have to go through every single one of your photos to try to figure out which one came first, which one came afterwards. This way, you're voluntarily telling Facebook's AI, this is from 2009, this is from 2019, go ahead and extrapolate this data. Try to avoid giving up information about yourself, whether that be your name, your email address, your birthday, and even your face in this kind of situation. Because companies that aren't upfront about this stuff can use this data in ways that you know nothing about, that may be positive or negative. Depends on how they use them. But companies like Facebook historically use this kind of information for negative things. I wouldn't do this for any company. If Apple asked me to do this, I'd go, no, I'm not giving you this information. But in particular, when Facebook, who's been known to use the kind of data you give Facebook for its own often nefarious purposes. When Facebook asks me to do this kind of stuff, it's just a blanket no for me. I give Facebook the minimal amount of information I can. Now, our friend Lesh in the RC chat room said that she got off Facebook a year ago. And for some people, that's possible. Mm-hmm. For me, it's not. I've got my niece in Nova Scotia, my sister and niece in Nova Scotia. I like keeping track of what they're up to. I've got various friends and family members I'd like seeing on Facebook. I'd love to get them off Facebook and on something else. Now, someone has suggested Instagram. It's owned by Facebook. It's become a cesspool of advertising as well. I use Instagram now for photographs, but not in the way I used to, because there's so many ads on Instagram now, and you have no way of getting away from them. It doesn't matter how many times you click that inappropriate or
I do it all the time. I think maybe they'll decrease them.
Doesn't matter. It makes no difference. They just find a different ad to put on there. So all I can do now is ignore them. And now, whereas before I was checking Instagram a few times a day, I'm checking it once a day now.
Same, less and less for me.
Because
I check it for family.
Exactly.
I have my family
just
on there.
So frickin' annoying. So avoid giving out as much data as you tend to. You can go to the Loop and check out the story on Wired.com. It's Facebook's 10-year challenge is just a harmless meme, right? Katie O'Neill, the writer of it, says, 10 years ago, I probably would have played along with the profile picture aging meme going on around Facebook and Instagram. Now I ponder how all this data could be mined to train facial recognition algorithms on age progression and age recognition.
I see all sorts of things like this happening on Facebook now with people that I know.
Yep.
I wasn't even invited to do this 10-year challenge.
Neither was I.
I thought, oh, how are people doing that? And I thought, oh, why? And then more and more people started doing it. So.
In tonight's Starting Point Photography segment, brought to you by, well, no one actually. If you want to sponsor it, let me know. I'll take money for it. I have no pride in that regard. What is it, 3 weeks ago? Less than 21 days ago. I very, very excitedly got my very first official drone, a DJI Mavic 2 Pro, a fantastic drone. Our son Damon, who is a professional drone pilot and a professional photographer, an amazing videographer, amazing photographer, has posted and taken some incredible videos with his previous version of the Mavic called the Mavic Pro, was deeply jealous over this drone. The 2 has got better battery life. It's got a better, much, much better camera, a bunch of other features that he just absolutely loved. And he actually wanted to rent it from me to go do his drone shoots. So if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or social media in general, you'll know that I posted up quite a few photos, videos of the drone. And the thing that got me was how much people were saying, oh, these videos are great. I'm thinking, but they're just auto. They're just the drone on auto mode, auto photography, auto videography. I'm still learning how to fly the damn thing. So the photography aspect of it has taken a back seat until I learn how to control the machine. So just on auto, the thing takes great video. Just on auto, the thing takes great photos. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's going to be amazing when I learn to use it. What was it, Monday? Yesterday? Was it yesterday? Did this happen yesterday? Yes, yesterday. Oh my goodness, yesterday. So Monday morning, I get up, I go for my walk at 7:30, and I'm wandering around, and off in the distance, we live up on a hill here in Gibsons, and we can see down, when you walk around our neighborhood, there's a vantage point where you can see down into what's the body of water out there called?
Well,
not Inside Passage. It's
Gibson sort Harbor. Of part of I guess it's not really Georgia Strait. Gibson's Harbor.
Gibson Harbor.
Yeah, but you can hear the foghorns from bed.
And so the whole town was covered in fog. I come back home, I tell them, listen, the whole town's covered in fog. She said, you should go out and fly the drone in the fog. I was like, oh yeah, that could be kind of cool. So I go up Monday and fly. I missed most of the fog. I'm chasing it all over the place. By about 9 o'clock, 9:30, the fog has rolled out of town. So Tuesday morning, I'm going to go get fog pictures. So I get up bright and early on Tuesday morning. I'm out the door at 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm going to go get drone pictures. I drive down to a couple locations to get some really, really lovely pictures of the drone flying through low level, flying. Melissa, I'm going to block your face while I think I can show this video to folks. Hang on a second. And let me show. Here we go. So here is one of the. Let's do this full screen so folks can see it. Hopefully the audio is still up and working. So here is one of the drone shots that I took. And this is just flying the drone up through the fog. Oops, I know what I'm doing wrong. You guys can't see it. All you guys can see is fog. Because this thing is too big. Too big, too big, too big, too big. I got the zoomed in on Melissa's face. So there we go. Go back. So here's what I shot up through the fog. And it came out really, really nicely. I mean, I really liked the way this image came out, the way it showed itself to me.
It's a very thick fog.
But I wasn't in the fog. It was definitely very, very thick. But in that regard, I wasn't flying into the fog per se. So I wasn't worried too much about that. Here's another one of me flying above the fog and then capturing the video of the town. This is the
beautiful town of Gibsons.
The town we live in. And this is just, I didn't fly through the fog. I flew above the fog, and then took this panorama slow motion shot around the town. And the idea was to get a bunch of these different shots and then merge them together into a story, into a video that I wanted to, post on the interwebs and show off.
So there you can see the islands and then the North Shore Mountains.
North Shore Mountains, yeah.
And then Soames Hill, which Shawn insists is a mountain, but it's not.
It's a mountain.
It's just a hill, folks.
Stop calling it just a hill. And finally, here's another pass with the
like fingers reaching out to everything.
That's what I really like. I like that effect.
I love that. When it's a sunny day and it just sits in the harbor like that, oh, it's just magic to me.
So there's the North Shore Mountains.
You can see Bowen Island, Gambier Island. I think that might be Keats right there.
Yes, right. That's Keats
yeah,
Island.
Right across from. You could swim over to Keats from Gibson's Harbor.
So I was having a blast doing that. I was having a blast flying in those conditions and in that area. So then I walked down to the harbor, Gibson's Harbor, and went to fly the drone through the harbor. Now the harbor had some fog in it. It wasn't thick fog, but it had tendrils of fog. It wasn't nothing but fog, but there was certainly some fog there. And as I'm flying through that aspect of, hang on, let me get this big again. As I'm flying through that, there we go. So here on this, you can see the circular dot is where I was standing when the drone took off, and the red triangle is the drone when it took off, and the green line is the flight path of the drone. So I take off from this location. I fly, that looks like 20, 30 feet, and you can see this is the data track for the drone. So you can see here at the bottom of the screen the height, the distance, the battery voltage, how many GPS signals it got, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this was all well and good. It was flying nicely. I flew about 20 feet off the ground out over that dock you see in the video. And then I rose the drone up because I wanted to get some more of these fog shots, these spinny fog shots. And again, it was very, very light fog. I could still see the drone. I could still visually make eye contact with the drone. Suddenly the drone started acting weird. I didn't know why it was acting weird. It suddenly started to come down. I looked down at my screen and I saw that the drone thought it was at -1 meter. Huh? It's not. I'm looking up at the drone. I know it's not at -1 meter. And then the drone plummets into the water. The last thing in the world you want to hear when you're flying a drone over water is splash. And then the signal goes dead on the drone. The drone, Dexter, as he was affectionately called, drone-acided himself into the inky depths of Gibson's Harbor. It should not have done this. There was no reason for it to have done this. Except, so there's a website called mavicpilots.com. And so I go on the website. Now, Melissa and I have bought what's called DJI Refresh, which is basically an insurance program for the drone. And DJI says that we will replace your drone up to 2 times in a year, even if it's pilot error. No matter if you screwed up, we will replace your drone. So I asked the folks on the Mavic Pilots forum, because I had done some research and saw that if you couldn't send the drone back to DJI, they wouldn't replace it. And that's fair. I understand that. The reason for that is obvious. DJI doesn't want a situation where people are faking losing a drone and going, I don't have a drone, give me another one. And now I have 2 drones. So I get that it's part of their corporate restrictions that you got to physically send the drone back to them. But the problem is, fairly obvious, the drone's in the water. I can't get it out of the water. So the guys in the Mavic forum asked me to post the flight logs. One of the cool things about the DJI app and drone, as bad as their software is that it automatically downloads flight logs to your phone. And those flight logs, after jumping through some hoops, can be exported so that others can look at them. Well, the guys on the forum looked at the flight log, and the guys are much smarter than I am, said that it was a confluence of events. It was the light fog may have confused the downward-facing sensors on the drone, making the drone think it was only a foot off the ground, even though it was 25 feet in the air. Combined with the fact that I was pulling the throttle down. It was 25 feet in the air, and I wanted it to come down to get a better shot. Combined with the fact I had, and this is ironic, landing protection turned on. Those 3 things, the fact the drone thought it was a foot off the ground, the fact that I had full throttle down, and the fact that I had landing protection turned on. If any one of those things hadn't been in place, the drone wouldn't have done this. It was a complete fluke that all 3 of these things happened at the same time. The other problem was the drone on the screen of the iPhone gave me no indication that it was putting itself into a forced landing mode. Usually, if you've flown a drone, if you use an automatic mode, there's a big circle with an X through, a big red circle on the side of the screen that lets you cancel automatic modes. This forced landing mode didn't have that. So the drone splashed down. It's gone. It's under the water. It can be recovered, but it can't be used ever again. It's a piece of electronics that you've dunked into salt water. There's no way that thing, as soon as it hit the water, it was done. So I've done a support ticket with DJI. The problem is DJI is undoubtedly going to say this was pilot error. And the folks at the Mavic Pilots forum agree with that. Yes, you made a mistake, but you made a mistake doing a combination of things that DJI shouldn't expect the average user to know not to do those things. It's like, as I described it to Melissa this morning, it's like the old Nintendo codes. If you push down twice, then left, then right, then click the A button, click up, and then click the C button, then click down, you'd get extra lives in Super Mario Brothers or whatever it was. That's the guys in the forum say this is very similar to that. It was just a fluke. Plus the fact that the motors on the drone turned off for a moment, and they don't understand why that happened. So the good news is it looks like DJI will say, yes, pilot error, we will replace the drone. The problem is, if they say, yes, pilot error, we'll replace the drone, but you have to send the drone back to us, that's where we're screwed. Because it's at the bottom of the harbor. I'd have to hire a salvage guy at how much money? $200-$300 to get a diver to go down there and look for that drone.
Even if they could
find it. So you're paying the salvage guy regardless of whether he finds it or not. So there's that. Hopefully what DJI says is, yes, it's pilot error. Yes, we will replace it. But because we recognize from the flight logs that it's in the water, they know from looking at the GPS and the flight logs, it ain't in a tree somewhere. It's not in a house somewhere. They know this thing flew out over the water 20 meters, 60 feet out of the water into the harbor and came straight down from that point. They know this. They can't, I hope, reasonably expect me to be able to recover that drone and then be able to use it. Because that's the concern DJI has, is that you do a fake one of these, you get them to send you a new drone, and now you've got two drones. Or you've got one drone that's slightly broken that you can sell for parts, and you've got a brand new drone. I get that that's DJI's concern. Hopefully what they will say is, don't worry about it, Shawn. This was your fault, but our insurance program covers pilot error, and we won't expect you to send the drone back because we know it's underwater. So fingers crossed. A support ticket has been done with the DJI tech support, and hopefully I'll hear by the end of the week, maybe early next week, that they've looked at the flight logs and they agree with me that the drone's unrecoverable and they'll send me a new one.
I would say, MacMan's asking about the current. I don't think there's a strong current there. It's very protected.
Yes.
It's not like the tides would come in, but it's not a strong current. And how deep it is, considering how far out Shawn plummeted Dexter into the water, it's hard to say how deep it is. It could be quite deep out there.
It could, yeah. We don't. I don't.
It's
know.
a harbor, so it's not shallow.
Yeah.
Planes land. Planes motor up to the dock that sits.
It's also
sticks out
very,
there.
very murky. That water is not clear at all. Near the shore it is.
Yeah, but not as you go.
Not as you
And
go.
by the way, the plane landing, they're not, this time of year they don't, just in case you're wondering why Shawn was flying
Yes.
near where float planes come in.
But the other issue, and this is the worst part about it, is that if I had hired a guy right there on the spot, just immediately got on the phone, going, come down here now, and paid them $300 that we don't have, frankly, to get the drone, and then DJI say, "Oh, don't worry about it," I would have been pissed. But if they say, we're not giving you another one until you get this one back, the drone is now either covered up in muck, has moved slightly from the current. It's been 2 days now. So if it moves, if there's a current there and it tumbles over and buries itself in the silt and the mud at the bottom, it's also gone. So fingers crossed, like I said, DJI. Now, I have heard good and bad things about DJI support. One guy in the MavicPilots.com website said he flew his into the canals in Venice, and DJI sent him another one without any problems at all. So
Did he
fingers
say,
crossed.
so it was lost?
It was lost, yeah. He said he couldn't get it back. It was in the bottom of the Venice harbor. And he said that to DJI, and DJI sent him a new one. The uncertainty is what's really going to suck. Like I said, I'm almost 100% positive DJI will say, yes, this is your pilot error. I accept that, except for what the MavicPilots.com guys say. You could have expected to know not to do this. This wasn't as simple as I flew it into a building kind of thing. This was you did a bunch of strange things while the drone was confused. If I had done those things while the drone wasn't confused, none of this would have happened.
Well, and the other day, I don't know if MacMan knows what it was, when it was just doing this strange arc. We were out right at water's edge, had been flying over the ocean, and he came back and was doing this weird and I said to Shawn, "Are you doing that?" And he said, "No." It was like it was drunk.
I had Dexter set to do an arc around Rory and Melissa. And so the idea was it was going to take video and do a circle around them. But instead it was going
Is that toilet bowling? I don't know if that's what that is.
No,
yeah.
it wasn't swirling. It was in front
No,
of them.
yeah.
Just going left
It was
and
like
right.
it was going do. What a great day, and just kind of
It was like doing a pendulum.
doing a little pendulum in there. Anyway, I'm not. If we get another one, I'm not naming it. I'm remaining unattached.
No, why aren't you going to name it?
No, it's like when you no, I'm not going to.
The reason why this is the starting point photography segment, the real upsetting part about this is the views you get with a drone, the pictures you can get with a drone. One of the things I always teach is to look for different angles of photographs. Look for, if you're, Melissa is 5'2.25", and so all her pictures would be 5'2". I'm 6'3", so my pictures are 6'3". So look for different heights of your photo. Get down low, get up high. And the images you can get from a drone, even from 10, 20 feet high. I'm not talking about 100 meters in the sky. I'm talking just above shoulder height. Just, 10 feet in the air are really interesting angles of things. Plus, you can get images of things you can't get your camera to. Out in the middle of the harbor, 50 feet off the water, looking back towards the town with the sunlight coming down off Elphinstone Mountain was just a beautiful image. It was a great shot. The DJI Mavic 2 Pro has very, very similar control settings as a DSLR. You can change aperture. You can change shutter settings. You can change ISO. You can have aperture priority mode. You can have shutter priority mode. You can have full manual mode. You can change exposures. So all the things that we talk about with DSLRs that you can manipulate to get better shots, you can do that with a drone. It's like a flying DSLR. And because you're using this very, very good camera lens and very, very good sensor, it's a full 1-inch sensor, it's a Hasselblad lens with the Hasselblad color profiles, you get some really, really pretty images. Again, just in auto mode. All the images that I've done no color grading. I've done no fancy stuff that you can do with them. Most of the images I've been using are straight out of the camera. The video you guys have seen on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, that's straight out of the camera. That's just me doing some edits in ScreenFlow. Just the absolute basic stuff. So I'm looking at this thinking, oh my God, I can't imagine how much better these images are going to get once I learn all these settings. And just go on YouTube and look at some of the pro stuff. You see some incredible images on YouTube of guys who know how to fly, who know how to set their cameras up, who know how to color grade and do all the fancy stuff in Final Cut or Premiere or whatever it might be. And that's what I was looking forward to getting to, was that point where I can create these incredible, incredible images from all different ways and ways of looking at the world around me. So it's a real shame. It's very frustrating that this weird thing happened. One of the other odd things was that so many people were telling us on Twitter, well, don't fly over water. We live on an island. It's a virtual island, but functionally we live on an island. And even if we didn't live on an island, you got to fly over water.
It's irresistible. It's beautiful. And
the water by itself is beautiful. Water and coastline and islands and mountains and trees.
And places where they're doing all the log booming. And it's very Pacific Northwest mountains. It's just beautiful.
We flew on Sunday with the boys. We went out to a place called Smuggler's Cove. And we had gone out there last summer, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And we went to the exact same place last summer. But with the drone, I was able to go out into the water, over the water. I did not realize last summer when we were there how clear that water is.
It's beautiful.
From 50 feet up, you can see the bottom of this little cove that we were in. It's just spectacularly beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So flying over water is something you gotta do. You can't say, oh no, I'll only ever fly in safe places. Well, it's flying. It's free.
Well, why buy a $2,400 piece of equipment like that if you can't go out over the water?
And with the same logic, you wouldn't fly over trees either. You wouldn't fly over buildings.
Anything.
You wouldn't fly anything. You wouldn't fly outside of a 10-foot bubble.
And you'd be like,
As Monty says, I'm so accident prone. If I have one, I wrap it in bubble wrap. But that's one of the things, though, that how easy they are to fly. Now, my dunking notwithstanding, I was surprised at how simple they were. Just do the basics. Just go forward, go up, come backwards, go left and right. The basics are very, very simple. Mm-hmm. It gets more complicated when you want to try to do some cinematic moves with your drone. That's what I was practicing. I was starting to practice how to get reveals and flybys with the drone. That's not what caused this accident. I was flying straight and level on this accident. But if you just want to fly straight up and get a picture, or straight ahead and get a picture, the DJI drones are very, very good for those kinds of flights. And I would say anyone who's interested in getting a drone, the DJI Mavic Air is a smaller version of this one. Takes very good pictures, takes very good video. The Mavic 2 Pro, like its name suggests, is a pro-consumer camera, a prosumer camera with the Hasselblad, with the larger sensor. But if you just want to get out there and take a few cool pictures and fly in your general area, the Air is a very, very good drone to fly with. But the Mavic 2 Pro, I've never flown a drone before in my entire life. And if you've seen the videos I've taken, again, they're very, very basic, but I was able to capture those videos with 2 or 3 days of practice before I went out.
I mean, my son has had his drone for years now, and he doesn't use very many options on it. He likes tripod mode. Yeah. Like he doesn't. He just loves the camera on yours.
Yes.
That's what he's wanting. Yeah. He likes his drone, and it's not as fancy as yours was, but he just loves the Hasselblad and the colors and what it captures.
If the quality of the images and the quality of the video are important to you, then don't get the Air, get the Mavic 2 Pro, because the larger sensor and the better lens is going to get you better quality. But the Air by itself takes perfectly good video, perfectly good images. Don't worry that it's only for those people who are really serious about their images, or professionals. I would recommend the Mavic 2 Pro, but the Mavic Air is a great little drone. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've seen a lot of good videos about it, because that's what, when we were talking about this originally, I was thinking, well, we'd save some money and get the Air instead of the 2 Pro. But then looking at the 2 Pro and the image quality, it made a difference to me personally. So that's my 2-week review of the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. Hopefully DJI will be nice to me and send me another one. Sob. We get emails from you guys. Send emails to onair at yourmaclifeshow.com, or you were going to say it.
No.
What do you mean?
It's okay. Sorry. I thought you'd forgotten.
Or Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. No, I'm just not.
No,
I'm not going to do it.
I didn't mean. I wasn't sure what you were going to say.
Our friend Michael Curtis in the UK says, first, Happy New Year to you and Melissa. I've struggled with weight all my life. Last year I put on 3 kilograms. Oh, poor baby.
Sean has to live with Damon, who's trying to put on weight.
That's not a good situation.
And Sean's like, you bastard.
Mom, I weigh 160 pounds.
Mom, I'm gonna eat 7 meals a day.
3 kilograms is about 10 pounds, which I'm not happy about. It's still better than it has been in the past. I wish you good luck with your goal. On the yoga front, I would recommend you give it a go. I've never been flexible, but I do try and do yoga at least once a week between my cycling sessions. If you watch me, you might not know it's yoga. I'm no Melissa. I do it for 2 reasons. I might not be very flexible, but at least as I get older, it won't get any worse. As I cycle a lot, my hips get a thumping, and the yoga helps my core for cycling, which makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you've done a lot of weight training over the years. Yoga is different, as you have to engage the muscle, so you have to think about it. It is a lot of fun, though. He says, the Apple Watch I find an interesting product. I really like my Series 2. I'd like to get a Series 4, but not a need. I find it hard to explain to others why I like it, but once you have it, you know you do. I have a leaky heart valve, so I'm interested in the heart side of things. ECG functionality might well be handy once it comes to the UK. Enjoy your weekend and good luck with your health challenge. P.S. I looked at the drone tracking. It isn't quite there for me yet. I watched the DC Rainmaker video. If I use the phone, it won't track me more than 100 meters. It will go further if I use the controller, but that's hard on the bike. I'm sure it will in the next few years. Yeah, the tracking ability of the drone is interesting. It's not perfect. It gets some interesting results, but you really can't get good video simply by having the drone track you and then you going walking. Because the drone tends to have a mind of its own. It doesn't wander away from you, but it'll wander in different directions that you may not want for your shot. It is much easier to track someone else and then do the fine-tuning on the drone to keep the person in the frame in the way that you want them to. Don Beck says, I've got a photography question about a topic I don't remember you ever talking about. Do you have any hints on photographing food? I occasionally take pictures of our meal at restaurants and at home. I like these. Not as beautiful photographs, but as a memory of the meal or the restaurant. Many tries have shown me I generally can't get the shot I picture in my mind, as you told me I should. Many of them are okay, but I'd love any tips on this, such as angle, include surrounding table settings, etc. Don, send me a couple of the shots that you don't like, and let me see if I can critique those shots and see if I can help you more along those lines. And I'll send you some links to photography shots. For personal use, though, photography shots can't get much more creative than holding your phone over the meal or at a 45-degree angle for the meal. For me personally, I like my photography shots to include the person I'm having dinner with. So I'll take a picture of Melissa eating the meal. That, to me, is more interesting than just a shot of the steak and potatoes.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, there's some people that take a lot of photographs of their food.
Yes.
And often it just looks awful, like vomit or something, especially if they're vegan or it's just, ugh. But you were the one that, didn't you show us, the boys and I, that video of the tricks that they use for professional food photography? I don't know if Don would want to do that.
The professional stuff is fascinating.
It's not even the real food that they're taking the picture of.
When they have a stack of pancakes, they're not pouring maple syrup over it. They're pouring motor oil.
It's motor oil
over it. Or instead of using milk, they're using some sort of other substance.
Yeah,
Interesting.
It was very interesting. So that professional food photography is a whole other world.
On another subject,
food styling. Okay,
yes,
says.
Food styling. That's
yes.
Right. On another subject, I just finished listening to last week's YML. Heard you read my email, but wishing that Apple offered a senior discount. I recently heard, I think from you and Jim, that Apple offers a small discount, yes, 10%, for military personnel on active duty and veterans. I was able to take advantage of this while buying a Christmas present for a family member. It wasn't much, but as you know, any little bit helps. I spent 2 years on aircraft carriers cruising around the Pacific in the early 1960s. He says, P.S. When I think of food photography, I frequently recall a cartoon I saw. A waiter in a fancy restaurant asked a couple at a table if there was something wrong with the meal. They said, no, why? He replied, because you didn't take a picture of it. That's definitely something that happens on a sadly regular basis, that people are, the meal will get cold while they try to take the picture of the food.
Oh, you see it a lot these days, people taking pictures of their dinner every night.
And there's actually I think I saw a restaurant, a restaurant banned taking pictures of your food, which you can't do. You can't. What's the waiter going to do? Not serve you?
What, they're going to take the food over to the band to take photographs?
No. They won't let people take pictures of their food. Which is utterly ridiculous. But I saw another one where a restaurant gave you a discount on your meal if you didn't take a picture.
If you didn't,
which I thought was kind of an interesting...
What's the problem with people taking photographs of their food if they choose to?
That's a good question.
It's my meal. I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
I own it, actually. So if I want to
Exactly.
take a photograph of it, what's their problem? I don't get it.
There are some snobby chefs who think that there's you're not appreciating his efforts
Oh my, yes,
by
I've
not
worked.
eating the
Yes.
meal at the temperature he presented it to you.
So don't let them take photos.
Exactly.
Or no more food for you.
No more food for you. Folks, that's it for tonight's show. I'll say thanks, as always, to our good friend Jim Dalrymple of The Loop at loopinsight.com for being on the show. Thanks to you guys, as always, for joining us, whether you tune in live or whether you're listening in to the archive. Thanks to my beautiful wife for joining us.
See you next week, everyone.
As always, this has been Your Mac Life. I've been Shawn King,
I'm Melissa
and
King.
you've been listening to Your Mac Life. Thanks very much for joining us. See ya!
Bye.